What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So we're doing a prediction and expectation video for Riven disposition changes for Wisp Prime Access. This is going to be going over some predictions and, trying to just see what will happen on July 27th when Wisp Prime Access releases. If you are relatively new to the game, this is also going to be telling you what happens with these Riven dispo changes usually. So before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to the channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. We do lots of discussion videos, build videos, news videos, etc. So if you are a Warframe player, you're in the right place. We have lots of content going up all the time. Also check out the live stream channel. We'll be live farming Wisp Prime when that comes out on the 27th, but also just stream a lot of Warframe in general too. So come stop by if you want to farm it up and ask some questions or whatever. Alright, so let's go over this. So basically, for these new Incarnons, the Incarnon Genesis adapters is a massive, massive change to how Rivens are being viewed and used in this game. The way it's supposed to be is that the weaker the weapon is, the stronger the Riven will be. So when we get things like Incarnon Genesis, the newest loot in Warframe, where you can turn your old weapons like the Torrid into a Death Beam that has red crits, it means that the old Torrid Rivens that had crazy high stats might not be appropriate in DE's eyes anymore, because we went from like a yellow crit grenade launcher with damage over time that was pretty slow to a really big AoE laser red crit beam. So yeah, these Riven disposition and stats for the old, like for example the Torrid and the Miter, were really high because no one was using them, and now everyone is using them, at least that has access to them, because it is Steel Path duviri unlocker. So that's one of the things you have to keep in mind when we're going over these changes and predictions today. Expect the top tier Incarnon weapons to have their Riven stats reduced. And yes, this will work. This will happen to the Rivens you already have. So for example, my red crit Torrid Riven right here will be having less stats. It will still have the same, crit chance and crit damage, but it will probably go from like 200% crit chance to like 160 crit chance. Now don't get too worried. They don't massively nerf them all at one time. The biggest they'll usually nerf is about 0.2 in the behind the scenes numbers. So I'm going to show you a quick reference to the previous Riven dispo changes they made, which were very tame, but keep in mind this was before Incarnon Unlockers came out. So their criteria on what is going to be nerfed or buffed is how popular is the weapon, and they also go off their internal list of their what they think is strong. So if DE thinks the weapon's strong and the weapon's popular, its stats will get reduced. They've been trying to not get people as mad recently, so it's been mostly buffs, but as you can see, Kuva Tankor got nerfed last time this came around. Everything else was a buff though, and then for melees, we got some nerfs to some of the more powerful melees, like the Serrata, Glaive, Anti-Corpus Glaive, all that stuff. So mostly no nerfs, but remember, like I said, their criteria is what is strong and what is popular. The Torrid and the Miter went from extreme, I'm just using them as reference. The Latron's also on this list too in my head. The Torrid and the Miter went from niche weapons that no one ever used to some of the strongest, most meta weapons in the game. So I would say, if you basically look at my Incarnon tier list, everything in S tier is a near guaranteed nerf to the Riven stats that already exist. So that would mean, for example, if you were to go through my S tier on that video, the Dual Toxicist is going to get nerfed, pretty much guaranteed. Now let's talk about some other stuff. So Dual Toxicist nerf guarantee, Torrid nerf guarantee, Latron nerf guarantee. The thing is, these Rivens already have very high stats, so it's still going to be a powerful weapon. But for this Riven, for example, I'll probably be going from 147% crit chance in the build to like 128% crit chance in the build. They don't nerf it that much. They will nerf it at 0.2 at most. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry. It doesn't really make sense to most people. But you can basically predict that 5 dot dispo will go to like a 4 dot dispo, and the stats on your Rivens that already exist will go down. Now, which Rivens for Incarnons will not get nerfed? And also, what's some ways you can maybe future-proof yourself for a potential nerf? So let's take the Latron, for example. So we have the Latron Prime, probably easily the best Latron choice for your Incarnon Unlocker. It's got really good crit chance, really good status chance, etc., etc. So this Latron Riven will also work on the Latron Wraith and the Latron Normal. But if we go over the Incarnons, that might not be the best choice. But what you can basically do is that they nerf these dispositions per weapon, not per weapon, it's not per family, it's per weapon, specific weapon variation. So on the normal Latron, that exact Riven, if they were to nerf the Latron Prime's Riven stats, it would not affect the Latron normal Riven stats, And there's also a Latron Wraith as well that has pretty good crit, but not as good a status as the Latron Prime. Also worse base damage. So if the Riven nerfs get really, really bad and you want to keep using your Riven, you could maybe put your Latron Incarnon on the Latron Wraith, or I guess even the normal Latron. The funny thing, though, is at the end of the day, did you even need a Riven for this thing in the first place? We're just trying to go for some overkill fun here. But yeah, things you could do is maybe if these nerfs get pretty bad, I'd say 0.25 and 1.5 dots at the most nerf you'll get. It will go from like 5 dots to 4 dots is the biggest nerf you'll expect. But remember, that's every 3 months. So after about 6 months, your Rivens will look like half the stats as what it used to be. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just telling you the reality of it as someone that's been covering this stuff for years. This is what they do for these things. So what you could potentially start looking out for is on weapons like the Latron. Is this Latron Wraith going to be anywhere near as good as the Latron Prime? Is that Riven? Are the Riven stats being higher on the Latron Wraith potentially going to make up for the big difference in base damage and status chance for the Latron Prime? So we have 90 base damage here, 68 base damage, or 62 base damage here. There's things that definitely are different and worse. But these are the things you might start wanting to look out for. But yeah, I would expect, I would say if you are a person that has Rivens, expect all your S tier stuff to get nerfed. So I'm going to list every Riven I think that's going to get nerfed. So prepare to get annoyed. Okay, let's start it off. So first off, they're going to be nerfing the Miter Rivens. Now, they could nerf it only on the Incarnon form, I'm pretty sure, but I doubt they'll do that. So that's number one. It's going to get nerfed. It's at the highest. The Riven stats for the Miter are as high as they possibly can be. So I'm basically guaranteeing a Miter Riven nerf right now. So that'll happen on the 27th. I'd say enjoy your Rivens while you can. They won't be unusable Rivens because remember, they're 1.5 right now. They'll just be lower stats, unfortunately. So Miter, basically guaranteed nerf. Torrid, guaranteed nerf. It went from a weapon hardly anyone used to a very, very good red crit weapon. The Dual Toxicist went from a weapon no one was using to a weapon a lot of people are using. Guaranteed nerf there. Ceramic Dagger, the most guaranteed nerf ever. No one was using that Riven before, or using that weapon before. Now it's the best stat stick in the game. And speaking of stat sticks, I don't even think weapons like the Magistar and the Firax are safe because you know what? DE made it where Incarnon upgrades apply to pseudo exalteds like Korra's Whipclaw. So that means that those weapons are getting used a lot more now, too. Even like the Magistar and all that. So, yeah, they might not be the best Incarnons themselves, but hey, at least they're still stat sticks. So that will likely go down, too. And then I would say that the only Incarnon weapons that aren't really safe are maybe the ones that are like so niche that, like, who's even using those? So I'm talking like, maybe like the Lado. Like, the Lado one is good. I mean, every Incarnate is good, technically, but the Lado is like only for founders, basically. And if you have the Dual Toxicist Incarnon, like I said, I mean, the Lado Incarnon is basically the same thing, just a little bit worse. So it's like a semi-auto version of the Dual Toxicist Incarnon. So I'd say expect almost every Incarnon to get nerfed. Maybe a couple of the really niche ones that aren't as phenomenal, they won't get nerfed. But also, additionally, beyond just Incarnons, I'd say that as far as like new weapons getting buffed, you could probably expect most of those new duviri melees to get their Riven stats buffed because they're 0.5, the lowest dispo it can go. And, you know, they're pretty good melees. They're just not phenomenal meta-defining melees. So, yeah, I could definitely see the Riven dispos going up on those at least like 0.2. But, you know, at the end of the day, who's even bothering with like a Siam Riven? At 0.5, I'm definitely not bothering with it. So, additionally, there are new Incarnons on the way. We have the Boar Incarnon, the Angstrom Incarnon, the Gorgon Incarnon, the Ankub Incarnon, and the Gammacore Incarnon. I would say definitely don't expect any of those to get the Riven stats nerfed yet. So I would say go get a Boar Riven if you want to for the Boar Prime, as the Boar Incarnon will probably be pretty good. But yeah, they have not actually. I doubt the usage numbers for those weapons have changed much. Yet, as they don't have the Incarnons out yet. People are maybe trying to obtain them again. They don't have them anymore. But yeah, you will be able to have about 3 months of your Boar Riven being as high stats as possible before the Incarnon, or rather the Riven nerf to the Incarnons comes out. So that's basically going to be it for my prediction. I want to give you guys some expectations. A lot of people have been asking me, do you think they'll nerf the Rivens? I think, yes, they definitely will nerf the Rivens for the Incarnons. But it's not like it's unexpected. It might be unexpected to you if you are a newer player, but as a veteran player, this is not unexpected in the slightest. So yeah, rest in peace your 2,000 plat Latron Riven and your multiple thousand plat Torrid Riven. That's just how it is. So hope you guys found this video at least informative. I don't think it would be very fun hearing this stuff if you weren't expecting to get nerfed. But yeah, if the Torrid doesn't get nerfed on the 27th, I will be shocked. But man, maybe they'll have a custom announcement for this stuff. Either way, I will be covering the actual changes when they come out on the 27th. So keep an eye out on this channel. We'll be covering the new updates and all that stuff. But yeah, Wisp Prime 27th, Riven changes 27th. Expect big number swings potentially for the worse. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate the support, and I will see you on stream in the next video. Peace!